Welcome to this explainer. All right, let's jump right into it. For a lot of people, a health savings account, an HSA, feels like nothing more than a simple co-pay debit card. You toss a little money in, use it to make trips to the pharmacy slightly less painful, and you really don't think much else about it. But treating it like that, well, it turns out that's actually a massive financial mistake. What we're looking at today is how this seemingly boring little card is actually a stealth retirement account with literally the most powerful tax treatment in the entire country.
Our source material brings up this totally relatable, kind of painful realization. I treated the single most tax-advantaged account in the country like a coupon. They talk about how they left their HSA balance sitting around $400 for an entire year. They were foolishly swiping the card at the pharmacy, just completely unaware that they were holding on to an absolute financial powerhouse.
Section 1. The debit card mistake. Listen, if you're constantly draining that account to zero for every minor medical expense, you are completely missing out on its ability to function as a compounding financial asset. So I want you to pause for a second and answer this honestly. Is your HSA actually invested? Because believe it or not, most HSAs default to a basic cash sweep. That means your money is just sitting there in cash, doing absolutely nothing, and you actually have to manually opt into the investment side of the account. So many people have no idea this is even an option. If you don't know where your money is sitting right now, you definitely need to go look.
Section 2. 4 massive tax breaks.
Think about your standard retirement accounts for a second. They get a maximum of 2 tax breaks, right? A traditional 401k gives you a tax deduction going in and tax-free growth, but you're paying income tax on the way out. A Roth IRA gives you no deduction going in, but you get tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals. But the HSA, it gets all 3. You get a tax deduction going in, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals for qualified medical expenses. It's a triple tax advantage. Honestly, nothing else in the tax code does that. But wait, there is actually a hidden 4th advantage. When you contribute to an HSA through payroll deductions right at your job, that money completely escapes FICA taxes. That's the Social Security and Medicare payroll tax, which sits at 7.65% on the employee's side. Keep in mind, regular 401k contributions do not bypass this tax. Only the HSA does.
Let's put this into perspective with some real-world math. Our source uses an example of someone making a $94,600 salary down in Florida, filing as head of household. So they fall into the 12% federal bracket, plus that 7.65% FICA tax. That means they are saving almost 20% in taxes right off the bat on their contributions. By putting just $358 a month into the HSA, which totals $4,296 for the year, they guarantee over $844 in annual tax savings. That's money they keep in their pocket purely by using a different door for their funds.
So, thinking about all that incredible growth potential, I have to ask, what does your HSA balance look like every December 31st? Are you spending it down to zero every single year? It's incredibly common to do that, but recognizing that habit is the very first step to breaking it. You really want this account building up, not emptying out.
Section 3. The shoebox strategy.
Okay, this is where it gets really good. This is a perfectly legal feature that lets you delay your reimbursements and allow your money to grow tax-free for decades. It's one of those strategies that makes people say, wait, is that actually allowed? Out loud. Here's exactly how it works. Step 1, you incur a qualified medical expense after you've set up your HSA. Step 2, you pay for that expense completely out of pocket with your regular checking account, not your HSA. Step 3, you save the receipt. Literally, put it in a physical shoebox or a digital cloud folder. Step 4, you reimburse yourself from the HSA decades later. Why? Because the IRS has zero deadline for when you have to reimburse yourself. Absolutely none.
Let's look at a concrete example to see this in action. Say you have a dental crown that costs $1,240, an urgent care visit for $340, and some prescriptions for $260. That's $1,840 out of pocket for the year. If you just scan those receipts, save them with the date and provider, and pay with your regular cash, that exact amount stays perfectly invested inside your HSA.
And here is the incredible payoff. If you leave that $1,840 invested in your HSA and assume a 7% return over, say, 21 years until you hit age 65, that single rough year of medical bills quietly grows into a $7,619 tax-free withdrawal ticket.
I love how our source phrases this: same crown, same pain, different paperwork. The physical pain of the dental work? Yeah, that's exactly the same. The base cost is exactly the same.
But by keeping meticulous records and choosing not to raid the HSA immediately, you're setting up your future self with a vastly different, highly lucrative financial outcome. Now, the burden of proof is on you, so you must treat that receipt folder like a legal document, but the reward is absolutely massive.
Real quick, let's clear up a common mix-up, because this trips people up all the time. HSA versus FSA. An FSA, a flexible spending account, is mostly use it or lose it and ultimately belongs to your employer's plan. If you don't spend it by the end of the year, poof, it's gone. An HSA, however, rolls over forever. It belongs to you. You keep it when you quit, when you retire, or when you move across the country.
Section 4. Crucial rules and caveats.
Now we have to talk rules, because if you mess with IRS compliance here, it gets very expensive very quickly. First, you are strictly required to have a qualifying high-deductible health plan, an HDHP, to actually put money in. No HDHP means no new contributions, though whatever money is already in there stays yours. Second, and this is huge, if you make a non-medical withdrawal before age 65, you pay income tax plus a brutal 20% penalty. That is double the penalty of raiding a 401k, so seriously, do not raid this account. Also, enrolling in Medicare stops your ability to contribute entirely. And catch-up contributions for the HSA start at age 55, which currently gives you an extra $1,000 a year to play with. But right when you turn 65, something magical happens. The age 65 switch. That steep 20% penalty for non-medical withdrawals, it disappears completely. If you pull money out for medical reasons, it remains entirely tax-free, just like always. But if you want to pull money out to buy a boat or take a vacation, it simply gets taxed as ordinary income. So, at 65, the HSA essentially transforms into a traditional IRA, but with the permanent tax-free medical superpower attached to it. Plus, there are no required minimum distributions to worry about.
You also got to be super careful with inheritance rules here. If you name your spouse as the beneficiary, they inherit the account as an HSA, meaning all those amazing tax perks stay completely intact. But if you leave it to a non-spouse, it generally loses its HSA status entirely, and the whole chunk becomes taxable income for them in that year. So please double-check and name your beneficiaries with care.
Just look at these staggering projections of what all this steady discipline can actually do. Let's say you contribute $4,296 a year starting at age 44. Modeling that at a 7% return until age 65, it grows to nearly $193,000. Throw in 10 years of those $1,000 catch-up contributions from age 55 to 64, which adds roughly another $15,000, and suddenly you've built a stealth retirement asset worth over $207,000. It's wild.
Okay, time for an honest caveat that we absolutely have to talk about. A high-deductible health plan is not right for everybody. Our source points out that they chose an HDHP with a $3,300 deductible because they are generally healthy and could absorb that cost in a bad year. But if you have a chronic condition, require regular specialist care, have a planned pregnancy, or kids with regular medical needs, the math completely flips. In those situations, a lower deductible plan can easily win out.
You really need to pause and evaluate your own situation. Ask yourself, are you picking an HDHP purely for the tax benefits, or do you need a low-deductible plan for your actual real-world medical reality? Please don't just chase the tax break blindly. You have to run your premiums against your actual care requirements. Online advice often oversimplifies this stuff, but your health and your actual out-of-pocket costs have to come first.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to remember a great line from our source. These are not secrets, just unread paperwork. This incredible financial tool, this triple tax-advantaged powerhouse, isn't some shady loophole reserved just for billionaires. It's a feature sitting right there in your unread open enrollment packets from HR. The only reason it isn't working for you yet is simply that nobody took the time to explain the fine print.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Are you going to keep leaving this money on the table? Take control of it tonight. Log into your account, check those investment settings so your money isn't just rotting away in cash, and start that digital receipt folder today. By simply organizing some paperwork and changing how you view that little plastic card in your wallet, you could be locking down hundreds of thousands of tax-free dollars for your future. So what do you say? Are you ready to stop swiping the coupon and start building the vault?